Hi, everybody. It's me again, Antonella. My name is Antonella, but most people call me Nella Bella or Bella Nella. Okay? Whichever one, I am okay with it. But I wanted to share with you, and I am going to start opening up my Women of the Bible series. I started a long time ago and never finished it. So my goal this year is to actually go through most, if not all, women in the Bible that made a difference. Even those that are kind of silent, didn't really have a name. But I really want to touch base on having or completing that series. So today I want to cover the story of Tamar. Who knows the story, right? Who is Tamar, right? All right, so Tamar is the one that we're going to talk about, because I think there is another Tamar, but the one that we're going to talk about is the daughter of King David, one of his daughters, right? And she is also Absalom's sister. All right, so... All right, sorry, I had a blink moment here because I heard some voice. I heard something. All right, so again, so Tamar is or was King David's daughter. She was also sister of Absalom, and she was stepsister of Amnon. Okay, Amnon. I'm sorry, Amnon. Now, Amnon is the half brother, right? And the problem with Amnon at the time is that he was the half brother, but he was head over heel for Tamar. Tamar at the time, she was a virgin, and you were held at high standards back then when you were a virgin. That's something that women took, was proud about. We're walking out there, and you can tell the difference with the virgin versus the one that were not virgins. But it was held to high standard, and which is way different from how we view things now for women. We don't put so much value in our virginity, our purity, like how women back then, it was a badge of honor to be still a virgin and wait for your husband, to be the one to take you on, take your virginity or whatnot. So, which is a beautiful thing, which is what it should have been, still be. But anyways, I digress on that part. I don't want to go too far off, but yeah, I get what I'm saying. So, again, so Amnon was so head over heel in his mind, sick over her. Like, he just wanted her. He was in love with her in his mind. And I'm just going to say it that way, because in his mind, he felt sick for her. He felt to the point where he was just so in love with her that made him sick, and now Amnon, because of this situation of him just being so in love with her or whatnot, Amnon did have a friend named Jonadab, okay, and he was the son of Shimei, David's brother, and Jonadab was a very subtle man, which was, I would say, cricket, kind of ill, like he is not to be trusted, okay, one of those servant or friend or family member that is just evil, okay, have evil mind. So Amnon had a friend, cricket, kind of messed up friend, type of ill friend, and his friend came to him, and I'm gonna read for you because I'm trying to summarize it without having to read through it, but just to kind of just go over with the story. So Amnon, had a kind of a friend that told him, hey, I see that, I see that you're going through something. Like, what's up? What's going on with you? And Amnon told him, hey, I'm in love with my sister. I just don't know what to do. And that's my brother's, Absalom's sister. I love her, but that's his sister. So Jonadab basically told him, like, hey, all you got to do, man, I mean, you the king. You could get pretty much anything you want. You know what I mean? So all you got to do is, just lay in your bed, act like you're sick, and call out for her and ask her to take care of you or bring you some meat or something or cook for you. So Amnon, right, lay down. He made himself feel sick or act like he was sick or whatever. Hey, right. I'm sorry, because I'm reading, like I told y'all, I'm reading Isaiah and I'm telling y'all the story. So Amnon act like he was sick. So he just listened to his friend, what his friend told him or suggested for him to do is act like he was sick, right? So he went and asked his father. And he told about his father. And he told his father that he's sick and he wants his sister to come to him to bring him meat or whatever, to cook for him or whatever. So Amnon lay down, just act like he was sick and everything, and asked for his sister to come. That Tamar did go, and she went there, right? She went there, went and baked a couple of cakes for him, and gave it to him. So now after his friend suggested, okay, hey, just act like you're sick and whatever, and then, have her come to you and cook for you, whatever, right? And just take opportunity there when she comes to you. So Amnon just went ahead and he's just like, yeah, you're right, Larry. Yeah, I should go ahead and do that, right? So as the king or his father came to see him, when he came to see him and just, try to see, hey, like, you sick, what's going on with you, whatever. So he goes ahead and tell his dad, hey, can you let my sister Tamar, come and bake me a couple of cake, okay, and so that I may eat from her hands. So David went and sent Tamar. So he goes out there and tells Tamar, hey, go out and go to Amnon's house and make him some meat or whatever, make him something to eat. Okay, so Tamar went to her brother's house, and as he was laying down, she went and took some flowers, baked it or whatever, make some cakes for him, right? And she took the pan and poured them out before him. She went ahead and gave it to him, but he refused to eat. He refused to eat, but he wanted something, right? He wanted to eat. He wanted her to bake something, but he refused it, right? So he says, have all men from me. So tell all the men to get out. Tell all the people to get out the room. Or tell all the men to get out, whatever, wherever they were at, whatever room they were at that time. He went ahead and told them, hey, tell all the men to leave. So I know right there, it was kind of suspicious. Because if I was Tamar, I would have been like, okay, so you told me to come here to give you, bake you, whatever, right? And I'm giving it to you, and now you don't want it. You don't want to eat, but now you're telling everybody else to leave. Like I would be kind of like suspicious, but then I would just be there and just see what was going on, right? I'm sure she probably was like, okay. So anyway, he tells her to bring the cakes to his chambers, to basically his room. So she brought them to him to eat, and he took hold of her. Okay, so this is the part. So he took hold of her at that point. So at that point, okay, I may have to do this story somehow a different way. So I'm going to have to read and then explain. Right. Okay. So Amnon said unto Tamar, bring the meat into the chamber that I may eat and of thine hand. And Tamar took the cake which she had made and brought them into the chambers of Amnon, her brother. and she hath brought them unto him to eat. He took hold of her and said unto her, Come and lie with me, my sister. And she answered him, Nay, no, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not doubt this folly. I may have to do a different version. Okay, but y'all get the gist of what I'm saying. So right now, at this point, right, he tells her to come in his room, right? Tells her to come in his room. No, let's go eat this in my room. You can feed that to me in my room. And when they get into the room, just envision, they get into the room, chambers, his room. He probably locked the door and everything or whatever. And so she's with him, hey, eat this cake or whatever. And then he's like, hey, come and get with me. Like, come and lie down with me. Let's have sex or whatever. And the term of what we use nowadays, he probably like, hey, let's have sex. Like, let's lay down and just, have sex or whatever. And she's like, no, like brother, like, don't do this. Like, what is that you're doing right now? That's being foolish, right? Verse 13. And now whither shall I cause my shame to go? And as for thee, that shall be as one of the fools in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold you from thee. Boom. Now she tells him the solution, right? She's like, I'm not going to just give out my virginity. That's shame to go. That's not how I want my virginity, for me to lose my virginity, basically, right? And she says, that's, such a thing is not done. Therefore, you can speak to the king. You can tell our dad, he will give me to you. All you have to do is tell David, our father, to give me to you. He will not withhold me from you. So she's telling him right there, like, hey, back in the days, it was okay for the father to give out his daughter to, maybe the half brother or whatnot. Now it's not cool. But back then it was okay. Hey, he will marry us or he will give me to you. And that's the proper way of doing things. All right. So she's basically letting him know, hey, if you want me, that's fine, but do it the proper way. Don't let me, what you're saying, telling me to do here, that's not, the right way to do things. I'm not going to go out like that. All right. Then, after she said that, he will not hear unto her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her and lay with her. Okay, we're going to pause here. At this point, he basically raped her, right? Because he was not hearing it. Like, whatever she was saying, he was like, man, I don't care what you're saying right now. I ain't hearing you. And he forced himself upon her, okay? And raped her, or her, all right? Then, after he did that, it says, then Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. And Amnon said unto her, arise and be gone. I'm going to pause right here. So now it tells me he goes ahead and say he hates her. So right after the deed, right, all of a sudden he hates her. He just like, almost I could just only imagine him looking at her and with a view of disgust, like, like I don't want you. So basically, the love that he had for her, or the love that he thought he had for her, was not real love. He was just in lust of her. Okay, when it said love, it was not love, because love would not do that. And he just hated her. He just like told her to be gone, like leave, like get out of here. right? I'm going to continue. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to continue. All right. And that's chapter 6, verse 16. And he said unto him, she says unto him, and forgive me because I'm holding the phone. So I forgot my holder. All right, there we go. And he says, right, where is it? Ooh, Jesus. This story just gets on my nerve. I just gets on my nerve. All right, so it says, okay. I'm sorry. It says, Jesus. It says, and she says unto him, there is no cause. This evil and sending me away is greater than the other that did unto me. But he will not hear it unto her. So basically what she's saying, we're going to pause here. She's saying what you're doing now is worse than the first sin. By you casting me out, that is even worse than the first sin of you taking my virginity. That's big right there. By you casting me out like a piece of crap, like a piece of you just trash, is worse than you, R-ing me, raping me, taking advantage of me, taking my virginity. That's the worst of a worse sin. Because you're going to cast me out, and now I've lost my virginity. I've lost, my honor. Like, I've lost, and back then, like I said, losing your virginity was a huge deal. You could be, like a scarlet letter. You'll be cast out. Like no other man would want you because you just had sex. You just lost your virginity. Like why did you not get married? Why didn't the person that took your virginity not marry you? That would be one of those questions that you would have to overcome. And that it just brought shame, and just the shame of it all. This was something that you just imagine, like something that you honor. You were on this level, and now he brought you down to the floor, like you're not worth nothing. And knowing her situation, her being a princess, and the solution could have been just go to my father and he would give me to you, and you just discard me like a piece of trash, like I'm nothing, and you're just gonna kick me out. Have anybody felt that way? Like a man ever made you feel that way? And maybe not in that sense where you got raped or whatever, get taken advantage of to that extent, but to where you just thought maybe that was the love of your life. He maybe took your virginity. Maybe you did. And then after that, he just didn't want nothing to do with you. After now you're in love with him, you're thinking that he's going to be your forever, and to him, you were just a one-night stand kind of thing. Can you just imagine I just can't imagine how she felt. Like, I can imagine, but it just had to be like 100 times worse. Because, again, back then, having your virginity was a badge of honor. And then for it to be ripped away in that manner. Let's continue. Then, not only that, right? Then she said, then he called his servant that administered unto him and said, put now this woman out from me, and bolted the door after her. So he basically throws her out, locks the door, bolted the door, tell his servant, hey, come and get this girl out of here. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to see nothing from him. Can you just imagine just throwing somebody out of your house. You don't even have the decency to, like, you know what, let me just walk you. It's like somebody say, hey, just somebody having sex with you and just like, hey, you gotta go. Like, throws you out his house and just kick you out. Like, he don't want nothing to hear from you, nothing to do with you. But then it's just mind blowing to me, like how this is not okay. It's not okay. Let's continue. And she had a garment of different color upon her. So this is very important because back then, like I said, it was a badge of honor to be a virgin. And they would wear a beautiful garment of color and just showing their purity. Right? Now, she had that garment of color on her. With such robe were the king's daughter that were virgins, like I mentioned to y'all. Then his servant brought her out and bolted the doors after her. And Tamar put ashes on her head and rend the garments of different color that was on her and tore them down. And laid her hand on her head and went crying. You know when you lay your hand on your head like this? You like, only like island people not understand this. It's like a cry of despair, like you just lost your mind, like, oh, Jesus, like, can you just imagine? Let's move on. She went crying, ran out crying. And Absalom, her brother, said unto her, had Amnon, thy brother, been with thee? So he's asking her, hey, has he been with you? Like, has he laid with you or has he had sex with you, whatever. But hold not that peace. Behold, now that peace is my sister. He is thy brother. Regard not this thing. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother's Absalom's house. So he basically told her, hold her peace. That's just your brother. And she remained in his house. I guess isolated or whatever. Now King David, now the aftermath of it all, King David, which is the father of them, heard about those things. He heard about it. He heard that, he found out about it. And he felt very bad. But nothing was done. You know, Absalom spoke unto his brother Amnon, neither good nor bad. For Absalom hated Amnon because he had forced his sister Tamar. Of course, he hated his brother. Because why would you do that to my sister? Right? And it came to pass after 2 full years that Absalom has sheep shearer in Baalhazard, which is beside Ephraim. And Absalom invited all the king's sons. And Absalom came to the king and said, behold, now the servant hath sheep shearer. Let the king, I beseech thee, and his servant go with thy servant. So we're just going to leave it there because the real story was to talk about Tamar. But the win of it all is after that Absalom killed Amnon, his brother. Eventually he killed him off, right? I just don't want to go too far away from the highlight of the story, which was Tamar and that situation, right? Of feeling used and abused, just discarded and like thrown out like a piece of trash, like feel used. Like that's the worst feeling especially for women, number one, because we are emotional creatures. And just for somebody to discard you like a piece of trash, just have no regard, no empathy of what they've, done, and just don't care, just nonchalant about it, or just showing pure hatred, especially towards you after doing such a thing, to disgraceful. All those things. And I'm sure a lot of us as women have been through something similar. Maybe not to the full extent, and maybe some of us have, and can relate to the story. And I myself, in some extent, can relate to feeling just like I didn't mean the same. I wasn't just that you didn't care about me the way I cared about you, apparently, because, but yeah, this is a story about Tamar, and, a lot can be learned through this story. I don't believe there's much she could have done to avoid being in that situation, knowing that, at that time she just had to listen to the father telling her, because her father summoned her to go to her brother's house. So, she couldn't, I don't know if she could have said, no, I don't want to, or whatever. And once she got there was nothing that much she could have done, really, unless she came with her brother, Absalom, to support her, to protect her. But other than that, she was at his mercy, really. But even still, she even went ahead to try to even give him a solution to, she was even saying, my father can marry me off to you. Like, you can have me, but do it this way. You don't have to force yourself upon me to have me. Don't do this. And even when she said that thing, that touched me, man. When she said what you're doing now is worse. It's far more worse than what you've done before. By discarding me, by just rejecting me or throwing me out like that. Because now she's scarred. I don't want to say a woman scorned, but she is like the scarlet letter. Like, she's not a virgin anymore. And now he put her in a worse situation, because maybe no other man is going to marry her now, because she already lost her virginity. So she might just die off being just not even having kids, or having a proper life or romantic life. She's discarded as like a woman in the streets, and not a lot of people will understand, especially nowadays. Sex is just, we're desanitized. We don't see things as they seen it, or as an honor, as we don't value things like how they did back then. Which it would be, I think we will hold on to our virginity much longer than giving it out at younger age. But yeah, so this is a very great, not so great, but story to learn from, as far as her situation and maybe how you can relate to it, and just see the different perspective of views of how back then, like I said, it was a badge of honor to be a virgin. Now we don't really care if we give it to Joe or Billy or John. We just give it out. It's not as sacred. We say that our body is God's temple. We need to operate in purity. And yes, we need to wait till we get married, what is actually made for, before you have sex, before you give it out to somebody. It should be your husband or your wife. But again, yeah, this story has really touched me in so many different levels of being used or abused or whatever, just either mentally, physically, or just emotionally. It just touches. But yeah, so that's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching. I know I was kind of a little all over the place because I wanted to make sure I gave you the breakdown, and I wanted to read it from the Bible and then give you like the rundown version of how to understand it nowadays. But again, I hope you enjoy this lesson. Again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like, share, whatever. If you have any questions, you can put it down below. Or if you have any suggestion of what you think I should talk about next time, please put it in the description or in the in the comments below. All right, guys, thank you, and God loves you. Bye.